Good morning, everybody. I'm Melissa Nielsen with Waldorf Essentials, and I hope you had a fantastic weekend. We had a pretty chill weekend. I love chill weekends, especially when I know we have a busy week. I hope that you guys are on top of your planning. If you are regular with us and you haven't started your planning yet, you're going to want to get going with Planning for Peace. So if you're a Thinking, Feeling, Willing member, you want to hop over to Mom Lesson 6 and pick that up and get started. Make sure you sign up for the emails. If you are not a Planning for Peace member, but maybe you're a kindergarten member, you also have access to Planning for Peace. So you'll want to go ahead and hop into your files and download that and get started. And if you're not either of those and you need to come and join us, Thinking, Feeling, Willing is still open. And I have to tell you, Thinking, Feeling, Willing is way more than just a training and curriculum program. It is actually also an amazing inner work course. And as far as self-help, inner work, figuring out your stuff, Thinking, Feeling, Willing is where it's at. With that, I want to talk about something that we have coming. So we're going to do a set of videos on mindset over the next month or so. Let's see, month. Yep, over the next month. 1, 2, yep, over the next month. Before the end of June. I was looking at my little notes here. Before the end of June. And those are just going to be a taste. If you are a Thinking, Feeling, Willing member or you've been thinking about jumping on, there's going to be a whole new mom lesson on mindset. And we're working on that. I'm super, super excited about it. It's going to be on mindset. It's going to encompass, the 6 basic human needs. It's going to encompass a lot of things. And a lot of the things that I go through when I coach one-on-one with people, I'm going to be infusing into this mom lesson because it is so dang important. So dang important. And mindset stuff is always there. You never get to the end of it. You never get to whoo, I'm there, because that's when our limiting beliefs come and pop back up, is when we think we're there. And so, whether it be around relationships or around money, it's usually one of the two, but it could be around trust. It could be around your parenting. It could be just sort of self-loathing in itself. And while some of that is particular to different temperaments, really and truly, we want all temperaments to feel amazing every day, so that when you are meeting your kids every day, that you're super excited about it, that you feel really good, and that you show up the way you the way you want. And so please join us for those. Like I said, they will be this tiny little taste into what we're actually going to be doing behind the scenes with our Thinking, Feeling, Willing members. And so, and if you're a Thinking, Feeling, Willing member and you're like, what? This is the first time I've heard of it. Yep, it is. We've actually been talking about it, Eric and I, for a while, haven't we, dear? Been talking about it for, maybe 2 months. And we went to an awesome training a couple of weeks ago with our mentor. And I kept thinking, all of this information is so good, and we know it, and we always share it. But guess what? It's time to really share it, share the depths of it. So we're super excited to be doing that. So you'll want to continue to join us for more information. And if you are a Thinking, Feeling, Willing member, you'll get more information on it shortly. So let's see. I'm just going to run down the next couple of videos so that you know what to put on your calendar. So next week is the first Mindset and Limiting Beliefs Part 1. And we'll be issuing a challenge then. So you want to make sure that you join us, or that you grab the download after. And then on June 3rd, we're going to talk about where you should be with your planning at that point. June 10th will be Temperament in Teaching. June 17th will be Mindset and Limiting Beliefs Part 2. And June 24th will be Mindset and Limiting Beliefs Part 3. And then as we head into July, we'll have, again, another planning roundup the first week in July, where should you be? And then on June 8th, we'll be talking about navigating temperament at family events. So many of us do things with family over the summer, and sometimes that can be a little scary. So we're going to make sure that we tackle that for you. All right, so today's topic, though, is how to plan if your child isn't reading yet. So this does not apply to you if you have a child that's kindergarten or going into first grade this fall. This does apply to you if you've got a child that is second grade and up this fall. And so what I'd like to do is first release you from any like guilt or shame you're carrying about that. So many of us, even if our kids have something explainable going on, like dyslexia, mom is taking on all the guilt for it. Oh, I should have. Oh, if I had done this. Oh, if I had started earlier. Oh, stop it. Because even though society loves to blame us, you shouldn't blame yourself. You just have to like sort it out and walk on. So I've got my little notes here. I think that, once you release your guilt, and it's true, it's there. And if you haven't sort of tapped into it, but you're really struggling with inner work or otherwise, I want you to step back and ask yourself, am I holding on to things that I shouldn't be with regards to this or even anything else in school, whether it be your child isn't writing where you think they should be, or your child is having, some other struggles. Maybe their block crayon drawing isn't where you think needs to be, but you're holding on to stuff and you're blaming yourself.
There's a shame epidemic.
Yes, there's absolutely a shame epidemic going on. I would highly recommend the Brene Brown show on Netflix, not with your kids around. She drops a few F-bombs, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And it's stuff that we often know on the surface, like most people would say, I don't have any shame. And I would challenge that. I think that most of us carry around a great deal of something. And even if you're somebody who works on it continuously, like Eric and I are constantly working on limiting beliefs and things that show up, as they come, like, you go, where in the heck did that come from? It came from somewhere. It was stuck deep down and it came out when you least expected it. And so that's really how limiting beliefs work, is they come out when you think you're fine. Then they come out and go, hey, you forgot about me. You need to nurture me some more. And that's really not what we need to do. We need to go, well, you're just a shame spiral, so move along in the recycling bin, or not even in the recycling bin, but like in the shredder, like the deep trash shredder. We had one of our mentors made the comment about, like, how on a Macintosh, and I think even on a PC, you can move things to the trash bin, but so often they stay stuck in the trash bin. Yeah, take it through the dang shredder. The shredder makes it gone, makes it in a million pieces. Trust me, Eric shredded my driver's license once, makes it into a million little pieces. It's like a funny little joke here about our driver's license. Anyway. So you want to get rid of that shame. At the very least, you want to acknowledge it so that you can say, okay, I am carrying something about this, but what am I making it mean about me? What am I making that mean? And actually in one of the Facebook groups that I'm still on, somebody had made some comment about dropping some baby weight and how upset she was feeling about that. And I said, what are you making that mean for you? She did not respond. You have to ask yourself, what am I making this mean to me? Like, am I tying my identity into my child reading, in this case? Am I tying my identity into those things? Yes.
Crystal Farrell says, how do you help your child as they discover they're behind? We have a first grader that's repeating this year.
Well, first of all, in Waldorf, I'm going to guess that you're not a Waldorf mom. If you are a Waldorf mom, you shouldn't be repeating first grade unless they are not at the right age. If they are, Waldorf first grade is for a child that is nearly 7 or 7. So you should be 7 for most of the school year for first grade. So if you are repeating first grade and that's not your age bracket, then we should talk about putting you where you should be. So you should for sure PM me, and we'll get you sorted for the right space for your child. I think that once your child, you kind of I've never shared with my children, especially when they were little, where I think they are. I've just worked on my end to get them to where I think they should be. So that's where evaluation is super, super important. So we promote evaluations a lot in our Planning for Peace journal. I evaluate at the end of a school year, at the beginning of a school year, in the middle of the school year. And then I also evaluate if there's something really going on or I'm really concerned, I will evaluate more often. For instance, And I wasn't super concerned. I just was trying to sort her out. So Soraya is she's now 8. She just turned 8. And we had decided we were going to like soft start first grade last January. January before. And with that, I knew I would have to evaluate her every month and what she was doing. Okay.
Crystal says she's in between and we're just starting. She'll know if she's repeating when we get the homeschool call up.
Okay, I want you to message me because actually, what I would say to her is, you know what, we're doing something totally different. And just say, we're doing something totally different than we were doing last year. And the grade thing doesn't matter. Honestly, this is a conversation that I've had with most of my kids when it comes to their grade. Mom, what grade am I in? Like that. Because we put zero, like maybe even negative emphasis on it. None, no emphasis at all. Now they know, like Soraya is like tuned in to, am I going into second grade? And we'll talk about that because then she'll also ask, you know, there are some girls in my Sunday school class that are reading better than I am. And I'll say, you are right. There probably are. That doesn't mean anything about you. And we have to be really careful when they're young because, you know, like 80%, 90% of our subconscious thinking was cemented by the time we were 8. So that's kind of a scary thing. So we want to make sure that anything that goes into their subconscious that they're drinking in is good stuff. It's good stuff, is wholesome stuff, and is encouraging, and that we're always there by their side if they need some emotional support for that. So you for sure want to. Oh, bless you. The allergies are strong with us this year. I don't love the rain, but it is raining in San Diego. So today I'm happy because that means no allergies. But that also means that in about 4 days, there's going to be stuff spawning everywhere. Anyways, so back to that. I would be very open and listening to their concerns and their struggles, and also at the same time reminding them what they can do that maybe other kids aren't doing it, you know, and just saying, I think it's okay as a parent to be completely transparent and go, you know what, Mom just didn't know. And I am diving into, especially if you're new to Waldorf and you're trying to sort that piece out, say, I am diving right into this new thing that is going to be fantastic for us. And here's why it's going to be fantastic. We're going to have so much fun. We're going to do so much, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then just read off the list and just say, also, this is something I've said to my kids often. I need you to trust me. Because it is about trust. So if they don't trust you, then it's back about asking yourself, why don't they trust me? Do I change my mind a lot? And they're like, I don't know what to say about this lady. Or are you wishy-washy? But hopefully not. Hopefully if you say, will you trust me? They'll say, yes, I will trust you.
Mia Herzog says, I tell mine everybody is different and some may be reading better than her, but there are other skills she has been working on that she has mastered. Yep,
exactly. And that's something we've often told our children. I will, every time we go someplace that is new, and because Soraya is reading, but she's not like completely fluent. She can't read by herself yet. She's picking all of those things up. She's made it through all the Shelley DeVidal first series readers, and she's in those first chapter books. But even like for instance, Eric and I were out of town a couple of weeks ago. Their big brother was with them, and they were going to go to a craft thing at the library. So this is what I said to my oldest son. Please pull the teacher aside at the beginning and just say, she's working on her reading. If there's anything that she's going to have to read, will you please just have it in the back of your head that you might need to help her? And by doing that, by allowing them that whatever teacher or other adult is there with them, allowing them to understand on the front end, like front load everything. Front load everything. Allowing them to understand on the front end, sort of what's going on, will allow you to then be able to relax a little bit on the back end. And so, I do that often. I do all this front loading. I think to myself, before I go anywhere with them, whether it be co-op, the library, whatever, Sunday school, because we've had to have those conversations with teachers too. I want those teachers to be feeling like they're in a spot where they can where they can help my child succeed rather than make them feel bad, because no teacher wants them to feel bad.
Mia also says, I also try to encourage her to not say I'm not good at reading, but to say I'm still working on it.
Yep, absolutely. And there are certain temperaments that are going to be more self-loathing than others. And really what I would do, especially if it's a first grader that's just starting with the reading, I would say, what are we going to do about that? Go get your book and let's read right now. Because they don't do the self-loathing thing. I know that, like I said, I know there are temperaments, especially the melancholies, that are going to stay stuck on the fact that they're not reading great. We have to get them over that hump. That's our job. Our job is to get them over that hump and to help them see that, hey, they are in complete control of that one. Complete control. If we practice more, then it gets better. Now, I want to say, going back to my notes here, once you evaluate your progress, I think that that's a big thing too, especially if you did an evaluation a few months ago and now you're doing this end of the year evaluation. You want to be able to see the progress that you've made. And I think that that's a huge one for mom and it's a huge one for kids. If you got kids that are struggling, but you can say, but look at where we were at Christmas time. Look at where we are now. Such a big change. That's why I'm a huge fan of evaluations. Not of tests, but evaluations. An evaluation is something you do for them. And it's a sort of an evaluation of your teaching. Did you have something else over there?
No.
Okay. So then once you've done your evaluation, then you're going to make a plan. And with that plan, with your evaluation, first you're going to step back and you're going to ask yourself, is there something else going on? And so many moms, and I don't mean to, I'm not downplaying dyslexia because I have dyslexia, but so many moms are like stressed out and worried about that one. But really, dyslexia does not affect nearly as many children as we want or we think in our head that it does. And just about every mom, I would say, out of all the moms, and I've worked with thousands of moms over the years, hundreds and hundreds in our Thinking, Feeling, Willing program, but thousands overall. And very rarely is it dyslexia. Of course, there are moms that I can think of right off the top of my head who've got kids that have dyslexia, and they are working through programs like Davis and Barton and other programs like that. But overall, we have to step back and ask ourselves, did we put in the daily practice? Are we working with them all the time on the letters and on the sounds? And if not, then we need to sort of step back and evaluate ourselves. So if not, we have a reading, writing, and spelling program that we did last year through Waldorf Essentials. If you're a Thinking, Feeling, Willing member, you have access to this. It's a mom lesson. It's probably I think it's the second to the last mom lesson that we added. So you can go there and go through that. If you are not a Thinking, Feeling, Willing member, we have it available on our site at waldorfessentials.com. We also have a free video that we did. It's probably 2 years old. I'm going to have Kelly drop it in the comments on Facebook. If you are on Instagram and you want to see this video, it's in our Monday video playlist. And like I said, it's probably about 2 years ago, 2 years-ish ago. You'll know that it's right. I think the cover on it says, the Waldorf Path to Reading or something like that. So you'll want to go and check that out if it's something that you're struggling with. Now, we have all that aside. We've determined whether or not there's something actually going on. We've let our shame go. We have done our evaluation, and now we're making this plan. So here we are, sitting at the end of May, or the last third of May. What are we doing for next year? Like, how are we planning for next year? If you have a child that is finishing up first grade now and they're still stumbling over reading, it's okay. You're going to spend the summer, you're going to help firm that up, and you're just going to work on that. It's totally okay. First and second grade, now I will back up too and say that a Waldorf teacher in a Waldorf school will tell you that reading is not the goal of first grade. I'm going to say it is not the only goal of first grade if you are a homeschooler. The reason why you want that to be on your goal list by the end of first grade, at least having them decode things, is because it will make your life easier as they're learning more. Because you want to get them to a place where they're doing some sustained reading on their own. That's just the path of a homeschooler, and it's sort of slightly different from the path that they would be going through in the school. I will tell you, I worked with a group of moms I guess it's been 3 years now, where I went and it was a group of moms that left their Waldorf school. There were like 6 of them. And all of them had kids that were in 2nd grade, and none of their kids were reading. And the moms were furious and frustrated. Frustrated because they didn't even feel like their kids were on a path to that. And so I'm telling you that you have to at least be on the path to it, even if that's not what your, what your main goal is for 1st grade. You want to be going through those letters. You want to be reviewing those letters. You want to make sure that you've got those sounds down and doing them regularly. If you use my method that we lay out in our 1st grade curriculum, your child will be reading once you introduce that first vowel. People say to me, why do you not introduce the vowels until the end? Because if you do all of the letters and you're practicing them continuously, then that first day with the first vowel, you're reading. And that is a huge boost of confidence for them. Even if it's like, and they're just sorting through putting those sounds together, even if that's all that is, that very first day, they are over the moon because they are reading. So you've got to do it in that order, in that sequence. Like I said, I know they don't do it that way in the school, and that's because their goal is not reading. But that is the goal of the homeschooler, is by the time, if you're teaching 1st grade, by about February or March, you're going through those vowel sounds. And then the rest of the school year is spent building. So Soraya was through them by about January, and we've just been building her reading since then. That's been like part of our everyday process. We're going through sight words that she might be struggling with, and we're going through reading those chapter books that she's working on now. So first I really love the Shelley Dividow series. There's 6 little teeny books. They build on each other, and they go through all of the reading rules. Well, not all of them, but a good amount of them, like the short sounds, and then they build on some short sounds. There's some blends in there then. And then there's some, other vowel rules. And then the chapter books that come after that still continue. Each chapter has something that helps it go deeper. I love that the back of the book has a bunch of sight words in it. And so we're building a sight word library, and, just on note cards that she loves, that she'll go through and read. I'm not a huge person of like flashcards, but they're ones that she's made. So I'll write it out, and she'll put the picture next to it to help her sort of remember.
Mia says mine is actually in 2nd going into 3rd, and she's doing way better this year with reading and math than last year. We might be a little behind, but she was ready this year and not last. We are working on spelling now.
Yeah, being ready is super, super important. So if you started a child too early and you're struggling, that might be why you're struggling. Our son that's now 20 and reads fine. When he was a March birthday, and I really wanted to hang on to him and hold him back a little bit, but my ex-husband wasn't having it. So I just worked with him where I could work with him. And it wasn't until like the week before his 7th birthday that he was like, I'm ready to read now. We were on our way home from church. Because Eric teaches the kids to sing peas and corn when they don't know the words to the song in church. So there's a lot of peas and corn going on for a long time in my house. So on the way home from church, Jacob turns to me and turns to Eric and he goes, my mom won't teach me how to read. And Eric's like, yes, she will. And so the very next week he was reading because he was ready. And so it's really about catching your child when they're ready, but you lay that foundation otherwise. You continue to lay the foundation.
Crystal says, thank you so much for all your work. I don't know what it is about your encouragements, but I feel like I'm not alone and I can teach my babies. Thank you for your wisdom.
You're welcome. Okay, let's move right along. So you're making this plan, and that plan is probably, like if you've got a child that's got the reading components down, they understand the sounds and all of that, and the letters make words, and words make sentences, and sentences make paragraphs, like all that piece down, then you want to just put forth a plan to practice a lot this summer. And when I say a lot, I mean every flippin' day, even on Sunday, every day. Even if it's just 10 minutes, because most little ones, they're after 10 minutes, they're like, okay, my brain is exhausted, and rightfully so, because they are working parts of their brain that they haven't worked before. They're doing all this recall work with all of the what does W make again and all of that stuff. So you want to do short but consistent daily lessons on that. Don't go out and buy teaching your kid to read in 100 easy lessons. Don't go out and do anything like that. If you have already introduced to all of the letter sounds, you're just working through them. So that's what you're going to do next year too. If you get to the end of summer and you're still not quite at the place that you want to be, you're going to continue this daily practice every day throughout the school year. So, and I'm going to address kids that have something going on here in a second, but I thought would address just neurotypical, nothing else is going on except for they need practice every day. It doesn't matter if they are a third grader or a fourth grader or a fifth grader and they're still struggling, but there's nothing else going on, like no dyslexia, nothing like that, then you just keep practicing. You keep practicing and you keep encouraging. And your job is to show up properly. Your job is to not get frustrated and upset, but your job is also to be able to say, I am really sorry if that's not what you want to do today, but that's what we're doing. So you can get happy about it or you can be sad about it. I am okay either way. I am here to support you. I love you, but we're doing this today. And being okay with the tantrum that might come after that. I don't know, some of you may have seen my Instagram post last week about Soraya and the flute. I just said, listen, sweetie pie, I love you. I love you. Gave her a hug, gave her a kiss on the cheek, you know, patted her hair that she loves, held her hands and said, I love you, but we are playing this dang flute today. Doesn't matter if you're mad or not. And she was like, okay, I decided that she's 8. She can decide whether or not she wants to have tantrum about something. And she chose not to. It could have gone, because later on that morning, thank you to my oldest son, who sent me this picture of something that she was like, I need that right now. Then she had the full-on meltdown, because sometimes you can't keep it from happening. But when it comes to lessons, I am pretty firm. And I have to, you have to decide what your non-negotiables are too. If it was something else, I may have if it had been like, I just can't do block crayons today, I might have been like, all right, well, we'll do them tomorrow. But they are coming. We will do it tomorrow, though. If you just acknowledge with me that they're coming tomorrow, then. Whatever it may be. But because it was a non-negotiable, I was just like, it's happening today. It needs to happen today. You need to practice so that you're up with everybody else at co-op. It's just happening today. And then she decided. Not all kids are going to make that decision. There have been many times when she's been like, nope, I'm just going to have a tantrum. I let her have a tantrum. I encourage her through it. I help her as needed. And then at the end, I go, all right, pick up your flute. Let's get going. Because if it's a non-negotiable, it's a non-negotiable. So you have to decide what those non-negotiables are for you with regards to your schooling. And you have to believe it, because here's the deal. If you don't believe it, they're not going to believe it. So you have to believe it. You have to be in a place where you know that it's happening. So the same with reading. If you've got an older child, especially who is really reluctant to read, I would just say, often peer pressure starts to take over, but I would just say, I really want you to feel comfortable around everybody else. And so, and not in like a weird way. Don't say it in a weird way. But I want you to feel comfortable. And I know this is a huge struggle for you. So we're going to practice today and tomorrow and the next day. Because guess what? When we practice, you get better. And when you get better, then you get more confident. Confidence comes from doing. Confidence, Mom say to me all the time, I have no confidence. I'm like, what have you done? Nothing. Confidence comes from doing. You have to actually do in order to gain confidence. If you read a book about riding a bike and you're like, I don't know, I am just not confident at all about riding the bike. I'm like, did you get on the bike? Well, no. Get on the dang bike. Yeah, you're going to fall. Yes, you're going to get skin knees. Yeah, you're going to hurt yourself, but get back on the bike, because that's how you learn. You gain confidence by doing. You don't gain confidence by reading about something or by thinking about something. You don't. Trust me. You gain confidence by doing. So you want to have this like ironclad, firm rule that you're doing it every day. How do you plan for them though? Like planning when you've got an older child that's not reading, especially in the Waldorf world where we spend a lot of time reading, things about different cultures or different stories, you are going to have to take on some of that reading and do them as read alouds. I would, especially again, if you don't have a child that's struggling with something, and even if you do, because let's go through the dyslexia piece too. So here's what I know about dyslexia. if you have a diagnosis and you're working with a reading therapist or a reading specialist, do the dang work every day with your kids. All of them have like a daily plan that you have to go through. And why is there a daily plan? Well, because we forget. We're human beings and we forget. So you've got to work on it every day. So if you're doing, I know a lot of moms do Davis or Barton. If you're doing one of those, do the work every day. And moms will say to me, I don't have time. Make time. Make time. Figure it out. If you need some help making time, do your actual rhythm chart and send it to me and I'll help you make time because there's time there. And yes, it might take time away from other lessons, but reading is super dang important. So you want to make the time to get through it. As you're planning then for the next year, let's say you've got a third grader who's not yet reading and you're going into third grade. You want to make sure that you structure your main lessons so that you give yourself that time to read whatever main lesson, main lesson stories might be going through there or through with you. So for instance, when I am teaching or when I'm preparing for a child that does read, say the Old Testament stories, just for third grade, I'm thinking about the Jacob Strait books for us. I really like those books. They're beautiful. They're great if you're religious. They're great if you're not religious. I like his style. So in those books, usually what I end up doing is every fourth story, we do it for a lesson. And the other 3 stories, they read it themselves. So if you've got a child that's not reading, and this would go for Norse myths or Greek myths or anything else too. If you've got a child that's not reading, you're going to need to go through those lessons and pull the ones that you want for your main lessons, just like you would normally. And then you're going to want to make sure that you give some extra reading time in there for you guys to read aloud together so that you can catch all the stories that you want to catch. Do not feel like you've got to catch them all. Feel like you get a good portion of them. Do you have anything over there?
No.
Oh, okay. He sounded like he was laughing. I wanted to make sure he wasn't laughing at me.
No.
Excuse me. So you want to make this plan as you're doing your planning. As you're laying out your lesson plans, you want to keep that in the back of your head. Also, don't use that as an excuse to not continue to work, to not continue to, go through and do the practice that you need to do every day. I would do a ton of practice over the summer, a ton. I would also front load all of your child's teachers in any capacity, whether it be at church, at some civic organization, at Girl Scouts, at Boy Scouts, wherever, and say, not in front of your child. He or she has dyslexia, and we're working on that. And so please ask them, this is what I've said to my kids' teachers all the time. You can ask them to erase the board for you. You can ask them to pass up papers for you. You can ask them to do a million other things. Please do not ask them to read. And when you get really firm with that teacher and they get it, oh, okay. And I would say that this is a struggle. We're working on it. And I really don't want them to hate your class. Get really frank with the teachers that are teaching your children, because I think it's super important that they know. Anytime I'm in a teaching capacity with children, other people's children, I take that really like a kind of a sacred calling, because I am then having stewardship over these children. Whether it be a church situation or when my bigger boys were still doing scouts, any of those situations, I like to talk to the parents and make sure that everything is going as it should. And I know I'm kind of weird that way, and not everybody does that, but I like to make sure that that I spend a lot of time in prayer and meditation about all of the children that I teach, whether it be in our co-op setting or Sunday school setting, whatever it might be. I am always looking for further light and knowledge from above about my child, the child that I'm teaching, about the children in front of me. So you want to make sure that you have that kind of relationship with any teachers that are teaching your kids. Anything else over there?
Nope.
All right, does anybody else have any questions? So we're gonna wrap up. Hopefully that was helpful. It's something that comes up a lot. I get that question time and again, like, what do I do? My child's not reading. That's what you do. Go through, make a plan, evaluate, make your plan to go forward. And then the great thing is I want you to make sure, especially if you're not evaluate it. Like I said, beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year. We do mid-year evaluations. We did a incredibly long mid-year evaluations video for the Feeling Willing members last year, and I'll do it again next January because there's a lot of questions that people go through, and so I'm there to make sure that we help you get through them. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Happy Monday. Make it a good week. Remember how you show up. Remember that you are, you're in charge of you. You are an agent. You don't have to be carried across everywhere to, to all these emotions. You get to decide. So I hope you have a wonderful week. We'll see you next Monday. We're going to talk about mindset, so join us. Bye now.